Thank you for your patience, folks. We'll be right with you. I'll be right with you. I'm using a new computer that I haven't used before. This is it like now. So how do I get out of that? This is
X right there. Right up here. There. No, right.
yeah.
Hit that X.
Let's see if I go back to this.
Well, then put it right here. Go all the way up. Just kind of grab it. Yeah.
That'll get me to the
That'll
start.
get you to the start. Yeah. Let me do it. Get up here on this arrow. It should come all the way up. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta hit just a little. There you go.
I have a room full of people here waiting for me to get up to the 21st century. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the April 2024 meeting of the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors. We're glad you're here. Thank you for your interest in local government. Let me introduce the people who are here. To my far left, your right, Blue Ridge Supervisor Walter Michael. To his right, Fincastle Supervisor. Yeah, Brandon Nicely. To my far right, your far left, Valley District Supervisor. I'm having a hard time with names today. Max Schotthorn. And then to Mac's left, my right, Amy White, Fincastle District Buchanan District Supervisor. And I'm Steve Clinton, Amsterdam District Supervisor. Once again, welcome. First thing we need to do, we've been in a closed session for the last hour and a half or so. And when you go into one of those, there's a certain protocol that you go through to certify it, and then you have to go through a similar protocol to certify that we behaved the right way during the closed session. So that's what I'm going to do now. Be it resolved that to the best of each board member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements And only such matters as were identified in the motion to go into closed session were heard, discussed, or considered during the closed session. And we'll have a roll call vote on this. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We're out of closed session. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Michael to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the republic which it stands, one for all.
Now I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to reflect and meditate, if you will, whatever you'd like to do for a minute or so, thinking about our county, our nation, and our lives at this time in history. So let's take a moment to reflect. Thank you. Okay, thank you, folks. First thing we have is a recognition, a well-deserved recognition of Sally Wade, and I'd like to invite Mr. Booth, Chris Booth, to initiate that.
Good afternoon, board members and members of the public. I just want to take a few minutes to recognize someone who has a long history here in the county. In 1994, Sally Wade joined the Commissioner of Revenue's office and has been a vital part of local politics here in Botetourt County, or local government rather, here in Botetourt County. She's been here for nearly 30 years and been involved in a lot of the different aspects of the office, from working in personal property to assisting with the elderly and disabled tax relief. But most people know her for her business license and business aspect of the office. She's essentially been the main contact point for most businesses here in the county. It would be hard to find someone who owns a local business who has not come in contact with Sally in the last several years. Good for her, not so good for us. She decided to retire this month, and I just wanted to take some time to recognize the benefits that she's brought to the taxpayers here in the county. Her bubbly personality, her smile, her warm greeting, it's been a true asset to me and to many others here in the county. Sally, I do really, truly appreciate you. And we have a gift for you as a thank you for your service here to the people of Botetourt.
Thank you.
Sally, you've been a big part of Botetourt County, as Chris said, for many years, and we all benefited from it. We're all going to miss you, and we wish you Godspeed and a wonderful retirement. And come see us.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve Botetourt County.
As it has to have you serving us. Any board members want to make any comments?
Chris, you're right. She gets a lot of people through that business licensing. I'm one of them. Hit her every year, like Sally. But yeah, congrats and enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we have a citizen comment period for which we ask that you sign up with one of the slips that's outside the auditorium. And this is limited to agenda items, not just general discussion, but comments that people may have relative to the agenda. And we do have one person who has asked to speak. This is on agenda item number 13, the electronic message board ordinance. So this is Carol Porter Fincastle. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Carl Porter on Country Club Drive, Troutville. I understand you are voting on a new sign ordinance. I hope you will keep the current regulation concerning the distance a sign has to be from the road. You previously made a special exemption for the Wawa sign, and I hope that is not the new standard in this ordinance. I feel traffic is a major issue now, and the county growth will only be worse in the future. Putting signs closer to the road will just create more distractions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else signed up to make a comment on the agenda? Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda, which requires no action. So that brings us to Mr. Zarilla and approval of transfers and additional appropriations.
Approve it. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and everyone in attendance. For the month of April, there are two transfer requests. One, a quarterly transfer, and the other, transfer of budgeted funds for upcoming debt service payments for the Virginia Western Community College expansion and the Circuit Courthouse renovation projects. With respect to appropriation requests, there are 9 pass-through items and 2 regular appropriations being requested. With respect to the pass-through items, they represent expenditure reimbursements, contributions and donations, miscellaneous receipts, a pass-through of state grant funds, and an appropriation for additional activity in a Sheriff's Department discrete fund. As for regular appropriations, number 10 is for funding to the organization that is responsible for running of the Botetourt County Fair. And number 11 is for the accounting of retainage for the county share of grant funds for the first 3 invoices of the Lumos Broadband Project number 2. Especially requested that these transfers and appropriations be approved by the board. Are there any questions?
Any questions by board members?
If no questions, I ask for move for approval.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the transfers and additional appropriations. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're passed on that. Next is approval of accounts payable and ratification of the short accounts payable list. Also, Mr. Zarilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Total expenditures being requested for approval for April for the general fund, including debt service and all other funds, was a combined $2,438,233.59. Payable disbursements of note are as follows. Under the assessor, $48,951 paid to Wampler Ains for services provided for the continuation of the 2024 county property reassessment services. Under Sheriff's Department, $35,810 paid to East Coast Emergency for outfitting 6 new vehicles. Also under the Sheriff's Department, $28,511 paid to Sheehy Auto for push bumper and ballistic panel installs for the new vehicles. Under Technology Services, $55,626 paid to Networking for Future for Meraki Security License renewals. Under Local Health Department, $102,348 paid to Botetourt Health Department for the 4th quarterly operational support payment. Under Transfers to EDA, $1,130,000 paid to the EDA of Botetourt County for an economic development project. Under CIP, under Maintenance, $63,700 paid to Train Company for progress work regarding the HVAC replacement controls at the Greenfield Administration Building. Are there any questions or comments with respect to the accounts payable requests for the month of April?
Questions from board members?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I'll move for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Let's go back up to an item that I erroneously said doesn't require action. Consent agenda. Board members have seen it. Any motion for the consent agenda?
No questions, and I move for approval for consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Sir, second?
There's a second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor of the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consent agenda is passed. Next, we have a number of proclamations, which is always kind of a fun thing. The first is a proclamation declaring May 19th through the 26th as 2024 Emergency Medical Services Week. Jason Ferguson, Chief Ferguson. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, before you today is a proclamation to recognize the men and women that provide emergency medical services throughout Botetourt County. Each year during the month of May, the National Association of EMS Physicians, that consortium puts together the themes for Emergency Medical Services Week. And as is tradition, we bring forth a proclamation to let the folks that provide EMS within our community know that they're recognized and appreciated. And if you will, I'll read the proclamation for you. Designating the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as Emergency Week, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Botetourt County, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19 through 25, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week. This being the 50th anniversary of Emergency Medical Services Week. The theme for this year is honoring our past, forging our future. So a little bit of background there, just a couple of things to make you aware of that have taken place in the past 30 days. One is a combined initiative with the registrar's office. If you haven't seen, we did a social media push and let everybody know that Ms. Clark worked with us on acquiring an AED. So right outside the voting registration office, there off at the corner of Main and Roanoke Street, inside that alcove, there's now a sign outside the door that acknowledges there's an AED in that alcove. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just like some of the ones at our sports facilities, to where if there's an event or something going on. But that one being right there, accessible in the public, is about as public access as an automated external defibrillator can be to provide assistance if someone were to collapse and have a cardiac arrest event. And secondly, last week, we were able to attend the American Red Cross Heroes Breakfast and see Dr. Carol Bernier, our Operational Medical Director, receive the award for Medical Hero for 2024 for her efforts throughout the region with pre-hospital emergency care. So I just wanted to call those things to your attention.
Thank you, Chief. All those accolades are nowhere more appropriate than Botetourt County. We've got a great team here. Do we need to take action on this, on the proclamation? You did? Okay. You've heard the proclamation. Is there any discussion, questions All in favor of approving the proclamation? Before that, I'll ask for a motion.
I move to approve.
You're looking
I'll
at me
second.
like you couldn't wait for me to say it. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the proclamation. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the proclamation, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion or the proclamation carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And the next proclamation is to declare May as Building Safety Month, and this is Ms. Pendle.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Obviously, I'm not Nicole Pendleton. We're giving her a break today. I'm the building official, Mark Bowles. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present this building safety proclamation to you. You have it in front of you. In consideration of time, I will not read it unless you would like me to. However, I would like to provide a few highlights on the Building Safety Month and how we partner with ICC, the International Code Council, as they lead the international campaign in May to raise awareness of building safety. 2024 is the 45th year Building Safety Month has been celebrated advances in constructing safe, sustainable, affordable, and resilient buildings and homes. The theme for this year is Mission Possible. The Virginia Building Code Officials Association encourages all of the localities to join ICC in support of the Building Safety Month. Botetourt County is part of Region 2, which consists of 35 localities. I'm proud to announce that of those 35 localities, we are one of only 2 who recognize and participate in Building Safety Month. I want to thank you for the support we received from the Board of Supervisors and the participation from our building staff here in Botetourt, as we recognize that, and that provides us recognition at the local and state board meetings. Now I'd like to recognize Combination Building Inspector Matt Hall, and he's going to provide you with a few details of the 5 weekly themes that are going to come up for the month of May.
Afternoon.
It's the Building Safety Month here in Botetourt. It's a 5-week program. It's consisting of what we'll do is try to walk the community through what building safety is, how they can become more involved in it with the building department. We'll focus on shine spotlights on the building safety professionals here in Botetourt, what they do, how the public can work with the building safety professionals, and if interested, possibly become one themselves. We'll try to get the community involved in preparing safety plans with their families at their own homes. This will also tie into a contest that will be focused around this, that members of the community can enter into a giveaway that we plan that will be part of a drawing. It will contain items that will assist them in their safety plans at their own house. It will highlight the department's successes and wins. We'll share statistics by the end of the month of the program, and all of this will be made possible through our social media outlets by Tiffany Bradbury, Director of Communications, and her staff. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any questions?
Questions? Building Safety Month?
Not today.
Not today. I'll entertain the motion relative to the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the proclamation relative to Building Safety Month. Any discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, fellas.
This is a proclamation. It's item number 9, declaring May 6th through the 10th, 2024 as Economic Development Week. Hooray for that. Hello, Ken.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. My name is Ken McFadden, Director of Economic Development. As Mr. Clinton just indicated, May 6th through the 10th is Economic Development Week. This week is organized by the International Economic Development Council. So it's a nationwide and international week recognizing the role of economic development in every community. And so with your permission, I'd like to read the proclamation to you for Economic Development Week. Whereas more than 100,000 economic development or related professionals worldwide are committed to creating, retaining, and expanding top-tier opportunities that facilitate long-term, equitable community growth. And whereas the economic development profession cultivates thriving neighborhoods, champions sustainability and resiliency, boosts economic prosperity, enhances the quality of life, and builds robust tax bases. And whereas economic development professionals operate throughout diverse economic environments, including rural, suburban, and urban settings, local, state, provincial, and national governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, institutions of higher education, among many similar organizations and associations. And whereas economic development professionals serve as stewards, bridging connections between community stakeholders such as residents, business leaders, elected officials, industry executives, and educational administrators to collaborate in promoting job creation, community investment, infrastructure advancements, and an optimistic future. And whereas economic developers contribute to the betterment and progress of Botetourt County, and whereas since 1926, the International Economic Development Council has been a leader and driving force in advancing economic development initiatives with a steadfast commitment to fostering growth and prosperity in communities of all sizes worldwide through equity, inclusion, sustainability, resilience, and innovation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors recognizes the week of May 6th through May 10th, 2024 as Economic Development Week, and remind individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding opportunities, bettering lives, and moving society forward. Proclaimed this 23rd day of April, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second. Amy has seconded it. Any discussion? Economic development, it happens every day. We don't always see it, but it happens every day, and it returns a lot of benefits to the county. So anyone, or if there's no questions, all in favor of the proclamation declaring this as Economic Development Week, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McFadden. And you have the next item as well.
All right, Mr. Clinton, thank you. So in tandem with Economic Development Week, Small Business Week is coming up during the month of May as well. And I would like to add a little bit of commentary. When it comes to economic development, I've said it for a long time that everyone is an economic developer and everything is economic development. So the previous proclamation is not just about those who have the title involving economic development. Everybody is engaged with economic development to one degree or another. And one special area of economic development that we have taken great pride and diligence in fostering in this community for the last several years is small business development. And I'm sure that many of you, as you go to our local restaurants, coffee shops, places of business, our libraries, you'll see this Botetourt's Open for Business Small Business Development Planning brochure. This is our preliminary initial piece of information that we use to help every small business operator in the county understand the resources that are available to help them to start and sustain and thrive in their businesses. So we also want to recognize Small Business Development Week in 2024. And as I think about this, it's not so much about small business development itself. We have Heather Fay here with the Greater Roanoke and New River Valley Small Business Development Center. She is a dedicated counselor to Botetourt County small businesses. But when I think about Small Business Week, it's about the people who are operating the small businesses, and it's our pride and pleasure to help them to succeed, as it is for you all in the ways that you support our small businesses. And there's too many examples to note of times that you all have contacted administration or economic development asking for us to assist a small business, and it's always been our pleasure to do so. So I would like to read this resolution to you with your permission. Small Business Week 2024. whereas America's strongest economic growth in almost 40 years has been driven by the resilience of our small businesses who, despite a worldwide pandemic, continue to pioneer innovative solutions to our country's greatest challenges and create opportunities for families and workers. And whereas from the storefront shops that anchor Main Street to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, to the small manufacturers driving our competitiveness on the global stage, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstones of our nation's promise. And whereas when we support small businesses, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas because this country's 32.5 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of 3 jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve ourselves to create jobs and spur economic growth in America without discussing ways to support our entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other government agencies. And whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia supports and joins in this national effort to help America's small businesses do what they do best, grow their businesses, create jobs, and ensure that our local communities remain as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim April 28th to May the 4th, 2024 as Small Business Week. Proclaim this 23rd day of April, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. That statistic, 2 out of 3 jobs that are created are small businesses. You hear that kicked around a lot, and it's impressive. It really is. It's the engine for our growth. So proclamation very appropriate. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Dr. Scott Horn has moved for approval. Seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Clinton, I would just like to reiterate and support and applaud the work that Ken and his office does with small business, and to celebrate our relationship with the Small Business Development Council and Heather Fay. Thank you for being here today, Heather, and every day. I can't tell you the number of people I've individually taken to either or of these people, and they have supported them and helped them work through challenges of starting a business. A lot of people have an idea and they don't know how to make it a reality. And these 2 groups help that occur. And I've seen it myself. And I just really applaud this relationship. And thank you both for caring about small businesses.
Well stated.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. McFadden.
Thank you.
We need to
All in
vote,
favor?
I think.
And
Do we need to vote?
we did, didn't we?
We vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, that small business proclamation does get carried. And next, we're a little bit ahead, but at 3 o'clock is VDOT. If there's no objection, we'll move forward with that. Afternoon.
Aye.
So we are getting ready to start our resurfacing contracts. Some of that work has already started in other counties, not in Botetourt yet, but we don't currently have the schedule for that, but it will be starting very soon. We have a few traffic engineering work orders. One is for Buchanan. They're on Main Street. We're looking at trying to install some signs to warn the trucks prior to them turning onto 43 that it's restricted through there. So hopefully that'll work in conjunction with the other signs we're putting out. We have a speed study for Route 630 in on Blacksburg Road. And we also have one for Lee's Gap Road, which is Route 666 in the Fincastle area. We still have the one for Back Creek open also. We have, as you can see, several land development projects and land use permits. I won't go through those unless you have questions about those. We have a sidewalk project getting ready to start in Botetourt in Troutville. The agenda says it's on the May 27th, but it's actually going to be April 27th. That was a typo. So that'll be starting next week. It will require a right-hand lane closure through the town there when they're doing the work. So be a little bit of an impact. And then we will also have our primary contractor mowers will start in May, for the first week in May, doing the primary routes in Botetourt. And some of our area headquarters are already doing some of the mowing also. I'm sure you've seen them out and about. And we're doing just our regular routine maintenance on all of the other areas, pipe replacements, gravel road, working the gravel roads and that type of thing. So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Blue Ridge, anything?
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good. Fincastle? Good. Anything for Dr. Stotler?
No, we're gonna be going through it in just a little bit, so.
Yep, okay.
I have nothing to
Okay.
add.
This is a record.
I tell you, I'm gonna have to tell Brian about this one. Thank
He
you.
might send y'all more office.
And at 3:00, we do have a public hearing, and I still think it's okay to proceed, so. This is a public hearing on the VDOT FY 25-30 secondary road system 6-year plan, which we looked at briefly last month.
Good afternoon. I'm Ashley Mathena and I work with Robin here in the Salem residency. I'll go through a bit of the information that I covered at the work session last month and then the proposed priority list for this year. So for fiscal year 25, the county will receive approximately $82,000 in telefees and just over $400,000 in the unpaved road money. The telefees can be used on various types of projects. The district grant on paved road money can only be used on gravel roads to hard surface them if they have 50 trips a day on them. The current priority list is Springer Trail, which will be started this summer and completed by early fall, along with the Blue Ridge Drive drainage improvements. The materials have been ordered for that, and we plan to start that work sometime midsummer and hopefully finish up by fall as well. The next on the priority list is paving Stevens Road, then the following year, Ballpark Road, the following year, Mountain Valley Road, followed by Laymantown Road, hopefully the same year. That's a very small section of Laymantown Road. The next year we'll do Roy Road, followed by Old Hollow, Redbud Lane, and Haymaker Town. Old Hollow, Redbud, and Haymaker Town were added last year to the priority list. This is kind of a summary of the available allocations that could be applied to potential projects. Some potential projects that we did look at adding to the priority list this year, which we've talked about these for a couple of years now, were Sugar Tree Hollow Road. This is a difficult one. It's very long, and it would take several years to come up with the funds to do it in its entirety. Trevi Road is another candidate. It does have some drainage considerations on it that could make the project a little bit more complicated, even though it is a short section. And then another potential project that we maybe wasn't on the list last month, but Hunter's Green subdivision, potentially doing a full depth reclamation of the pavement on a few roads in there. We propose using telefees that have been unused for several years in previous allocations, and then this year's allocations and next year's allocations would give us about $600,000, which means we could, based on our estimates, approximately half of the roads within the Hunter's Green subdivision, and it would be completed with next year's paving cycle.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
Is that going to interfere with any of the other projects that are presently going?
No. So these are all funds, all telefee funds that have been not allocated to any other projects. So the telefees from the previous years were left over from the Murray Drive project that were not needed to complete that project. And there were funds from fiscal year 24 secondary 6-year funds, this year's fiscal funds, and then the telefees for next year's we could allocate to come up with that $600,000. So we wouldn't be able to complete the project this year. It'd be something we'd be able to complete next year with about 600,000. We did do an assessment on the roads, trying to prioritize which would be the worst of the worst, and seeing which ones would be kind of the biggest bang for their buck based off of the funds we would have available. The proposed roads that I suggest would be Drake Trail, Pheasant Run, and Deer Track. That would allow the main road into the subdivision. Drake Trail is probably one of the worst ones in there. And Deer Track would allow that's the next road up off of the main subdivision street. It's all based off of how estimates kind of come back and which roads we could truly be able to fund. But this would be the suggested 3 roads that we would do the full depth reclamation on. And I can explain a little bit what the full depth reclamation. So this would be a full tear out of the pavement structure and rebuild of it, which makes it a very costly project, which is why we wouldn't be able to do the entire subdivision at once.
Thank you. I know it's been mentioned for years now. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And this was, I will say Brian Blevins suggested this as some use of your telefees that have been unused.
It's just a quality control issue when they built them.
We believe there were some issues with maybe the utilities, not the word is compaction around the utilities and the failure of the pavement sections around that. So it's hard to tell for sure, but there's definitely something subgrade that has failed in the pavement section, and a simple resurfacing probably would not fix that.
So the proposed priority list, that's VDOT's proposal.
So the next slide, I have the proposed priority list. It would be to keep Finger Trail and Blue Ridge Drive as the top priorities for this year. The 2A would be Stevens Road, which it was already number 2. And then the 2B would be the addition of Hunter's Green subdivision next year. The A and B is really just to designate that those are different funds, the telefee versus the unpaved road money, so they don't compete with each other. And then keep the rest of the priority list the same. So Ballpark Road, Mountain Valley Road, followed by Layman Town, Roy Road, Old Hollow Road, Red Bud, and Haymaker Town.
Okay. Anything else before we move to the public hearing?
I have nothing else for you unless you have any questions about anything that we've talked about.
Actually, just a quick question about the Springer Trail project. Can you remind me how much of that road will be included in this project?
It's about a mile, and it goes from the Mountain Valley Road to
So
the
it goes from the
bridge.
split, right where it kind of begins.
Yes. I'm correct, right, Rob? Yes, okay. Because there is another section of the road that is unpaved, but that will not be included in this
And
project.
there's another section on around that is paved, like if you
Yeah.
go all the way through.
Yes.
But it's a mile from the Mountain Valley intersection.
Yes.
Okay.
It's approximately a mile. I don't think it's exactly a mile, but it goes up to a bridge. And the bridge will be the stopping point for this project.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any discussions, questions, issues from the public relative to what's been presented on the 6-year plan? All right, I'll close the public hearing and open it for discussion by board members or a motion by a board member.
Move for
I'll
approval.
move to approve as presented.
Second.
We've had a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion from board members?
No.
All in favor of approving the 6-year plan as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Ashley. Now, item 14. This is Ken McFadden again. You want to come up, Ken? This is consider a resolution requesting the Commonwealth Transportation Board's approval of Economic Development Access Program funding.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. In February, members of this board, Mr. Nicely, Ms. White, with Mr. LaRue, made a trip to Richmond to meet with various state agencies and officials. One of those visits was with the Virginia Department of Transportation, and we refamiliarized ourselves with the Economic Development Access Program, which is a grant funding program that VDOT administers to assist localities with developing roads within business parks. International Parkway has been built using the Economic Development Access funding, and we currently have a proposal before the Commonwealth Transportation Board to do so to further extend International Parkway from its current terminus near Munters and Eldor. They also have a program that provides funding for design only of access roads within business parks. And Ms. Bradbury is helping me to find that map to show you where within Greenfield we are asking for your support with a resolution to initiate a funding application to VDOT to accomplish a design-only project. There we go. And what we are looking to accomplish with VDOT, with the Economic Development Access Program, if you see that oblong yellow circle on the right-hand side, right there, that is the slated northern access of International Parkway that would loop back to Highway 220. And VDOT does provide funding to help localities with design-only projects. So this would be a funding program where we could secure funding from VDOT to accomplish the design, engineering, and permitting of a road to create this northern access to the Botetourt Center at Greenfield from Highway 220. I've been reading resolutions previously. If you would like for me to read this resolution, I'm more than happy to, but I may very well be out of breath by the time I do that. Just let me know.
Board's pleasure on that. Care to have it read? Okay, just proceed, Ken.
Okay. So whereas the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors requests assistance in the development of the Botetourt County Economic Development Authority owned property for the purpose of economic development to be served by a northern access of International Parkway, State Route 839 in Daleville, Virginia, within the Botetourt Center at Greenfield. And whereas Greenfield is expected to be the site of continued new private capital investment in land, building, machinery and tools, and other taxable equipment, which will provide substantial taxable investment and employment opportunities. And whereas the subject property has no northern access to an improved public street or highway and will require the engineering and design of a northern access of International Parkway, State Route 839. And whereas the County of Botetourt hereby guarantees that the necessary surety for this design-only project will be provided, if necessary, at no cost to the Economic Development Airport and Rail Access Fund. And whereas the County of Botetourt hereby guarantees that any ineligible engineering and design project cost and all costs not otherwise justified will be provided from sources other than those administered by the Virginia Department of Transportation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors hereby requests that the Commonwealth Transportation Board provide Economic Development Access Program funding to provide an adequate road design and plans to this property. And be it further resolved that the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors hereby agrees to provide a surety or bond acceptable to and payable to the Virginia Department of Transportation in the full amount of the Commonwealth Transportation Board's allocation as determined by VDOT. This surety shall be exercised by the Department of Transportation in the event that the resulting plans are not prepared to VDOT standards. And be it further resolved that the county administrator and/or his designee should be authorized to act on behalf of the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors to execute any and all documents necessary to secure the funding sought through the Economic Development Access Program up to, but not exceeding, $200,000 in state funds.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Right, need to move, or we need to consider approval of this. There's no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
I second it. I think that's a badly needed project. If nothing else, to take volume off of the entrance right here at Greenfield. Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution that Mr. McFadden has presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That resolution passes. Now we'll move up to the item at 3:15. This is a public hearing. This is Ms. Pendleton.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. I have a request before you today to consider text amendments to Chapter 25 to amend the standards of the sign ordinance, which address content neutrality and amending standards associated with electronic message board signs. Back in September 26th, there was a resolution passed from a petition from a local resident as well as business management company that requested that we look into amending signage related to electronic message boards. And so that was sent to the Planning Commission, and they actually took action on this back in January, recommended unanimous approval of those amendments. We wanted to take a little bit of time just to go through those in light of Drew's departure, and just make sure we had everything exactly buttoned up the way that we wanted to make sure that that was good. And so we just took another extra look over the ordinance before coming to you, and it have very minor tweaks to what the Planning Commission recommended. In 2015, there was a Reed versus Town of Gilbert at the United States Supreme Court that unanimously invalidated a sign ordinance which treated signage differently based on content. And basically that the sign regulations restricted free speech. And so a good example of this is actually the LED message board signs, and talks about a sign ordinance can regulate whether or not to allow the use of LED signage, what use districts the signage would be allowed within, how large or what percentage of an overall sign that could be LED. But the sign ordinance cannot regulate the content of a message or allow certain land uses to utilize LED and not others. So this has presented a challenge to kind of look at existing code and the way that regulation has gone in the past. And so we've kind of waited to see how some other ordinances shook out. As a matter of fact, one of the ones that Drew researched was Reed versus Town of Gilbert. We've relied on information from our state supporters and even state legal advice on what that might look like going forward, and how, again, can we take some updates to electronic message board signage, and in light of all of this content-based neutrality that our ordinances require us to regulate. So I'm not planning to go into a whole lot of detail. Again, the majority of the regulations are, and again, not intended to censor speech or to regulate viewpoints, but really to regulate the adverse secondary effects of signage. So a lot of these, again, all of the things that are removed from here are content-based. We really try to make those use or specific to certain ordinances, certain signage, certain sizes, those kinds of things. One of the things that really hasn't been allowed, or, would be content neutral, would not be content neutral, would say, well, you can advertise your sale, but you can't advertise your sale. Or you could advertise XYZ, but this other use cannot. And so it is really complicated to figure out a way to do that. So again, we go back to the zoning districts, the size of the signage, and how much is allowed in each district. We really focus a lot on safety. One of the things that gets a little confusing from time to time is that we do have signage that is, does not require a permit. And then we have signage that's specifically prohibited. We do say signage that's not specifically permitted is prohibited, including but not limited to the following. One of the things that we did is recognizing that the amount of time that signage may exist, it may be a little tight for some businesses or some folks who are looking to renovate or get a new space in. So Planning Commission was in support of us extending the non-conforming sign or the maintenance and removal of signs to match with other sections of the code. So let's see. Let me just very quickly go back to, I'm trying to see here. Making very clear that signage can only be regulated, signage is only related to signage existing on a parcel. So off-premise signs have not been permitted in the county for some time, long before I got here. This really does help to clarify that for folks who there might be some confusion. Off-premise signage has always been prohibited by the code. That still exists today. It just allows us to go, again, more towards the zoning districts themselves and less towards the uses. One other change I want to bring to your attention is the electronic message board requirements. Again, they're changing because we cannot regulate it by the type of use. So previously, electronic message board signs would only be permitted for institutional uses. That's content-based, obviously. So that opens up a special exception permit within all use districts, subject to the board's ultimate approval and the conditions, as well as these additional requirements. Now, I will say a special exception permit does not grant a variance from setbacks. It doesn't grant any other type of variances. That word special exception permit does tend to create some confusion in the community, as well as some signage ordinance itself pretty complicated. So one of the things that we've worked with is happy to work with Ms. Bradbury and her team to provide some more communications and get with folks in the community, business owners, citizens, other folks to really help and promote what folks can do. So we look forward to that. Whatever ultimate consideration that you all vote on, we will work towards that. The electronic message boards, one of the things that we did change, it's not reflected in this presentation. One of the questions, be visible from any residential use property, that actually should say residential structure. Should the electronic message board be visible from any residential structure in those districts, then the sign must be turned off between 10 and 6. And there is another definition that did not make it into your packet that I'd like to read out. We had a couple different versions. I apologize of this going around, and the one that made it to the package did not talk about sight distance triangles, which is another definition that we wanted to update, which follows the VDOT sight distance triangle regulations. All right, so that is a very brief overview of those changes. Again, unanimous recommendation by the Planning Commission. I am happy to answer any questions that you'll have this time. Thank you so much.
There's a lot to unpack there. Can you give us your summary of the key points? It's not fair. You were prepared for that, I know, but.
Absolutely. So again, not intending to censor speech or to regulate viewpoints. So really what we do is we have to go back and take out anything that talks about content. So if it's a flag or emblem of a civic, philanthropic, educational, or religious organization, that can't be in the ordinance anymore. So we had to change it. So up to 3 flags may be displayed outdoors on any parcel, any flags. We cannot regulate the content. So the basic way that we've been looking at this is if you have to look at a sign to regulate it, that is content-based regulation, and that is not permissible going forward. One of the things that we talk about in terms of temporary signage, one sign in the residential use district, no more than 12 square feet may be displayed when there is a valid building permit or zoning permit authorizing construction or development activity up on the parcel. That's 32 square feet outside of those districts. Similar in nature, We talk about any parcel or structure they're on is offered for sale, lease, or rent. A sign per street frontage on the residential use districts, 12 square feet for a pending auction of the parcel, structures, or the contents thereof. Any other use districts, 32 square feet. Non-residential use district where there is a parcel for a pending event or activity on the parcel which is allowed as an accessory to the principal use. Again, we can't regulate what that use is. If the zoning ordinance allows it, we have to allow the signage for that. Same thing for a pending yard sale or garage sale. There's a lot that had to be removed. Temporary sign on a privately owned lot or parcel announcing a campaign drive or an event of a civic, philanthropic, educational, or religious organization. That's content. Temporary signs announcing coming soon, grand opening, under new management, going out of business, content-based regulation. Anything that you do see in the packet that talks about strike-throughs really was related to content. It was another thing with the LED message boards that you can't regulate it by the use type. So you have to regulate by the zoning district. Not what it is, but where it is. Real estate signage, construction signage, all content-based. There's a section about non-conforming commercial uses or childcare center, content-based. Any additional questions?
Good. Thank you. I don't have any questions. Any questions from the board?
I have one, Steve. Just to the gentleman's comment at the beginning of our meeting, does this address anything with regard to moving signs closer to roadways? This is strictly to make sure we're content neutral. It doesn't impact what he was concerned about, traffic, getting signs closer into.
No, absolutely. That no setback changes or any changes to the placement of signs on properties.
Thank you.
Anything else from board members? I'll open the public hearing. Comments from the public. Public hearing is closed. We'll open for a vote. Is there a motion relative to what Ms. Pendleton just presented on signage for Botetourt County? I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sign ordinance amendments are passed. Next, number 15, Jonathan McCoy, Safe Streets for All Communities.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm sure you're not tired of discussing transportation yet, right? All right, it's always a fun topic to discuss. So you all are familiar with this. A resolution was passed, I think in 2022, to support a grant application to the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. That is a federal transportation grant that is intended to develop a comprehensive safety action plan. So we have partnered with Roanoke County and the town of Vinton to do this regional study of some dangerous intersections and road segments in the county. I and a few representatives of those localities have worked with the Timmons Group, who is the selected consulting firm that is working on this project. For a few months now, we've identified several dangerous intersections and road segments in Botetourt County specifically, and one piece of this process is community outreach. So this is what we're moving into, is some community engagement. And to that end, there are a few public meetings coming up. So it's always exciting when we get the opportunity to go out to the community and get some feedback from folks. So one of those is going to be on Monday, May 6th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Eagle Rock Elementary School cafeteria. The other one will be here at Greenfield the next day, also the same time, Tuesday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you can't make those, hopefully you can. There's going to be, it's open house, so you can drop in, provide feedback. There's no formal presentation planned. If you can't make those meetings, though, there is a survey online that I would encourage you all to take if you can. If you have any questions about that or have difficulty making it to the meeting or taking the survey, I'm the staff contact, so I'm definitely happy to take any questions or concerns or thoughts or comments on the survey or the public meetings themselves. The intent of these meetings, the consultants will have a few boards there that highlight the dangerous intersections and road segments. And we'll be asking community members to provide some feedback on those specifically and any other areas in the county that they have concerns of on the roads. So one piece that the data really misses that is not really collected are those near misses. So if you're going down the road and you see somebody run through a stoplight, we don't collect that data because there may not have been an accident that happened. So that data is not going to be shown in stuff that gets reported to VDOT, but we're very curious to hear about any of those interactions. Because as we develop this comprehensive safety action plan, we'll be working on actual projects that will hopefully be implemented to improve some of those intersections and road segments. So the really nice thing about this process is that there's a second step to this. Once this comprehensive safety action plan is done and adopted and approved, we can then apply for funding directly through the Department of Transportation, the Federal Department of Transportation, to get actual implementation funds. And so we needed to have this comprehensive safety action plan in place first to be able to access those funds to make improvements to our roadways. So this is just another pot of funding that we'll be able to pull from to hopefully improve the county's roads in the future. So my intent today is just to announce those county meeting dates, discuss the survey, encourage folks to come out. Our wonderful communications team here has developed a lot of great graphics, some postcards and flyers that you'll see at the community's libraries around the county in general that will have this information. I think there's also a gift card, if I'm not mistaken. So if you come to the community meetings and fill out your information, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a gift card to one of our local stores, restaurants, locations in the county. So just even more reason to come and share your exciting thoughts and feelings about the county's transportation. That's all I've got. Are there any questions or comments from you all?
Sounds like a good plan. We have not yet begun advertising it, or we have?
So they're just county meetings. So it's not like a publicly advertised type thing like we would for this. The flyers is it coming out tomorrow? Okay. This is why I should never speak about communications, because our communications team will do it better than I can.
Hey.
Yeah, there's going to be a regional press release that comes out tomorrow. It'll be Roanoke County, Botetourt, and Vinton. And then we'll be starting to push a lot of information on social media. There is information on our website. And if folks sign up at botetourtva.gov/notify me, they would get that news flash that's actually on our homepage. So I'm going to show you guys that. This is an easy way for anyone in the audience to see. You can sign up for announcements, and those are all right there. And that can drop right into your inbox or through a text message. But there'll be a lot more buzz about that on social media. And we're also working with the schools.
Thank you, Tiffany. Jonathan, anything else?
Nothing else on this front.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we don't need to take action on this. This is just for information.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Moving on to number 16, advertise for a planning commission public hearing to consider an amendment to the Botetourt County Comprehensive Plan that would modify the future land use plan, future land use map number 9, associated with parcels identified as 100-40 and -41. And Mr. McCoy, you're up again.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you is a request to advertise for a planning commission public hearing to consider amendment to the county's future land use map. The purpose of this is the property owner would like to place his property in a conservation easement to be held by, I think, the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy. His property is currently identified on the future land use map as partly in the medium density residential designation. So in order for this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, that piece of property would need to be taken into a conservation future land use map designation. This is simply a request to send it to the Planning Commission to review and then either recommend approval or denial to you all at a future hearing date. So our recommendation is that you refer the petition to the Planning Commission so the request can be analyzed in detail, and after a public hearing, provide a recommendation on the proposed amendments. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have two questions. Actually, one's a comment, not really a question. I wanted to thank you for working with me on the discussions of this. You did answer my questions on this, and my question is the property owner here today?
I've not personally met Mr. Lee. I'm not entirely sure if he is here with us. Doesn't appear that he is here today.
Okay, could I ask you to forward my heartfelt thanks? This is a refreshing item of business and would like to recognize him for doing this. A lot of people, as we discussed, go into this and find out how much time and effort is involved in doing it. And I certainly would like to encourage Mr. Lee to pursue this and bring it to fruition. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll pass that along, and we'll be working closer with Mr. Lee over the next month or so as we develop the background report for you all. So I'll be sure to pass those words along.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Further comments from board members? All right, we have three options before us. We may refer the petition to the Planning Commission. We may deny it or table it.
I would move to send it to planning.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we send the plan to the Planning Commission. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries, and we'll forward the petition to the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Item number 17 is update on the Apex Rocky Forge project. Ms. Pendleton.
I apologize, Chairman. Too much multitasking at one time. All right, so we did have a meeting this month with Apex representatives to receive an update and to discuss outstanding items. The Apex individuals received and have provided the county with updated Army Corps nationwide permitting and the DEQ Virginia Water Protection General Permit updates. They have communicated with us that they continue to work on outstanding items and they're updating studies, but they do not have an estimated timeline for resubmittal as of this report. So I'm happy to entertain any questions. That's my update for the month. Thank you.
This ping pong game is in their court right now.
Has been. We haven't received any updated plans in 2024. So.
Any further discussion, questions for Ms. Pendleton? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you for the report. Item number 18 is appointments. And the first one is consider, and the only one, consider appointment of Mandy Adkins as citizen representative to the Roanoke Valley Greenway Commission for a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2027. Ms. Adkins is willing to serve in that capacity. Sounds like a good selection to me.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, second, okay. Been moved and seconded that we approve Mandy Adkins as representative on the Greenway Commission. Number 19 is the citizen comment period. This is for general comments, not necessarily related to the agenda. Let's see, we have a couple signed up. And once again, like this morning, if you care to speak, you can fill out one of these forms and bring it forward. This is Ann Palmer.
Me, Ann Palmer, concerned citizen, again, for the children. I'm just going to keep coming and you're going to keep ignoring me, I guess, but I'm just going to keep coming and appeal that you would remove these sexually explicit books from the library. I fail to understand how any one of you is okay with leaving them in the libraries. So it doesn't seem to matter, but I'm just going to read something from one of my morning devotional to you all. And I just hope and pray that you'll actually listen to it with your hearts. There are an awful lot of things that we call love that don't really rise to the level of what love is and what love does. Being willing to tolerate things that are wrong in the eyes of God may create a comfortable surface peace, but it isn't what love does. Being willing to live inside of a circle of evil and not make waves may cause people to like me, but it isn't love. Saying, it's okay, don't worry about it, to a person who did something wrong is not really loving. Maintaining peace at any cost isn't love. Remaining silent when I should speak up isn't love. Being unwilling to step into tense moments with you because there is wrong that needs to be exposed and discussed isn't love. Much of what we think of love simply isn't love at all. Real, biblical, self-sacrificing, God-honoring love never compromises what God says is right and true. Truth and love are inextricably bound together. Love that compromises truth simply isn't love. Truth without love ceases to be truth because it gets bent and twisted by human agendas. We are unwilling to make the hard personal sacrifices that are the call of real love. Now, I'm not going to talk about being self-righteous, judgmental, critical, and condemning. No, I'm talking about choosing not to ignore wrong, but dealing with wrong with the same grace that you've been given by God. Grace never calls wrong right. If wrong were right, grace wouldn't be necessary. If sin weren't evil and wrong, Jesus would never have had to come. The cross of Jesus Christ is the only model you need of what love does in the face of wrong. Love doesn't call wrong right. Love doesn't ignore wrong and hope it goes away. Love doesn't go passive and stay silent in the face of wrong. Love moves toward you because you are wrong and you need to be rescued from you. And moving toward you, love is willing to make sacrifices and endure hardships so that you may be made right again and be reconciled to God and others. God graces us with this kind of love so that we may be tools of this love in the lives of others. I just ask you all to please think about that. I am a sinner like everybody else. I'm not perfect, but I don't know how any of you can look at those books, really look at them and read the content and think you're loving our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer.
Now it says you got comments. Can you talk to me? Like it says that on the agenda. It says board comment. I would love to have a conversation. I know, I mean, it's this like, I say this every month and then I know I'm past my 10 minutes, sorry. So it says here, board member comments. Can you comment to me? Can you talk to me?
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I'm really asking, I'm not being rude.
After the citizen comments, there's a period of time where we can offer comments if we want to.
Can you
So
offer
let's
comment?
finish the citizen comments and
Oh,
if
okay,
anybody,
gotcha.
if
Thank you.
anybody wants to comment and respond, or they can do it one-on-one.
Okay.
But that it's 2 periods. Citizen
Gotcha.
comments now, let's get through those and then we have the opportunity to
Okay.
comment.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Next is Jackie Amos.
Afternoon, Board, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jackie Amos, and I reside at, it's on file. Month after month, concerned citizens of Botetourt County come before the board to offer suggestions
or to make you aware of situations within the county. It takes our time we are not paid for, as it takes your time. We have other things that we could be doing as well. Yet we are referred to as chronic complainers, to which I take great exception by one self-proclaimed crotchety old coot. Now, my husband and I take to heart the futures of our children and grandchildren. Seems to me the board is allowing time to one self-proclaimed crotchety old coot, which is the chronic complainer. Now, let's talk about proper decorum during a meeting. Proper decorum dictates we do not applaud unless an award is being given. Do we really want to live by the letter of the law or live by the spirit of the letter of the law? Let me say that again. Do we really want to live by the letter of the law or live by the spirit of the letter of the law? How sad not to be able to greet new employees with applause or acknowledge students who have made certain accomplishments. And applause is free. To the board, I would ask, please use a measure of wisdom and not take advice from one self-proclaimed crotchety old coot. Thank you.
Last one signed up is Sharon O'Donnell.
I am a resident of J Ridge Road, in the neighborhood with the Reed Mountain Middle School. And I come today with concerns expressed by a number of our neighbors already in regard to the school dismissal traffic. When I first moved into the house in Orchard Hill, oh, okay, thank you. Oh, okay. Was I too loud?
No, I just wanted you to be able to be.
Okay. 24 years ago, we did not have traffic back up down J Ridge Road after school or during school dismissal period. J Ridge Road is a cul-de-sac. And when the school traffic is heavy, there are times that the road is completely blocked from Cross Creek Circle all the way down through the cul-de-sac and back up to Cross Creek Circle. Now, this is a specific safety hazard. There is absolutely no way that any emergency vehicle could get down J Ridge Road with traffic like that. A prime example of this is in October of last year, one of our neighbors was having some work done in his yard. The road was blocked with work vehicles. I contacted the school at 1:30 to ask them to please reroute the traffic. At 3 o'clock, my neighbor contacted them again and was told that it wasn't the school's responsibility. It wasn't up to them. We were just complaining. It didn't make any difference because it would only be a few minutes. And if we wanted something done, that basically the workers should have stopped working and moved their vehicles at that time. I mean, we have put up with this for I don't know how many years, and we get no response other than snarky comments from the school. We get no assistance from the school board. We get no assistance from Dr. Russ. I personally spoke with Dr. Russ in 2020 about the traffic issue when my husband was ill and was promised that something would be done. As of today, nothing has been done. And we should not have to wait until there is a critical incident and there is a loss of life or property because no one has listened to us about how obstructive and how unsafe the traffic is. Thank you.
Was there not action, you mentioned?
Mr. Clinton, I'm sorry about that. Mr. Chairman, we did do this a couple years ago. Actually, this is the third time that we've had somebody attend to our meeting here. The last time we got together, we had a big meeting with the school board as well as us, a few members on each, and we came up with a process of hopefully taking care of this. It lasted for a little while and then went right back to the same thing. Now, thank you, Sharon, for coming. I appreciate
You're welcome.
this. There is another setting that had happened, that one of the family members that live on that road went to dodge one of the vehicles, turned over, and the car flipped. That was one of the residents there. So this is a problem. This has been a problem. We came up with a temporary solution. We thought it has not been resolved. And so this goes back to the school and to say, okay, how do we remedy this as we did before in a short period of time? Why don't we make that longer? I don't know what had happened other than the principal changes or anything like that. So I apologize, Sharon.
You're welcome.
That hasn't, but this will be addressed again. And Mr. Chairman, I agree that this has been addressed before a couple times. I think this is a long-standing setting because we have one entrance, one exit. And that becomes a dangerous setting. So
we'll renew the interest in it by going back to the schools.
yeah, I think that's the only thing we could do is just to, I think, make note of this and send this note to the school board and Dr. Russ, and let's get together again to discuss this because it really puts impending danger upon the individuals in that location. Because if you take a look at that road, and I don't mean to sound awful, there's a lot of elderly individuals that are there that if there is a critical situation, there's no way they could be helped.
I'm one of them. Yeah, so thank you.
As a minimum, it's a terrible inconvenience to people who can't get to their homes.
That's right.
Thank you, Dr. Scott Horn, for expanding on that. That's all the citizen comments we have. Anybody have anything else? Then we'll move on to board member comments.
Hi, it's me again. Are you gonna comment on my situation that I commented on?
Can't hear you.
Great. I'm just telling you, if you're gonna comment on my comment that I keep coming here and commenting on.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Are you gonna comment? Like I'm wondering.
That's the board if there's any comments.
Okay, great.
Any comments from board members? Okay, we don't have any comments then.
So I just need to come here like month after month, like I'm using my time too. I don't understand this.
Well, your comments are in the minutes, they're recorded, we've heard them. And
That's fantastic. And then what? Nothing changes.
well, it doesn't necessarily change just because somebody's made a comment. I mean, we appreciate your comments.
I don't think you do, and that's okay, but I love the dialogue. Because nothing changes. There's no dialogue.
There was dialogue on the issue a year ago, quite a bit of it.
And nothing.
Not really.
Well, the board passed a resolution in favor of the current library policy.
Do you want them to those folks to remain? They're explicitly sexual in nature for children who can't even understand that.
I didn't hear that, but I think I knew what you said. And the answer is no, we're not explicitly looking for that.
But you are by allowing those books there. But by allowing those books to be in there and having children look at sexual acts, you're okay. You're saying it's okay for them.
As we discussed a year ago, it's a question of parental control. Parents can honor their children in libraries, and the libraries themselves don't make those books freely available, and they certainly don't pass them out to children. So the board's position a year ago was that our current policy is correct. This strikes a balance between protecting freedom of speech and all those types of things, and protecting children by not making the books readily and openly available. It was discussed at great length.
So that children are not able to get.
Well, I won't let you put words in my mouth. I'm
wanting to make sure I understand.
I'm sorry.
I'm just wanting to make sure I understand that the children, they can't get them.
Still didn't hear what you said, potentially.
Sorry. Just that the children are not able to get to those books that display sexual acts.
No, I didn't say that. The books are reasonably controlled to eliminate that. And as far as I know, and this was true 6 months ago, I guess, there were virtually no incidents of children having gotten access to those books and causing any problems.
But how would you know that? How would you know if a child got one of those books and looked at it? And I mean, it is pornography.
Okay, we've made that abundantly clear, and we appreciate your comments. But see, this is the reason that typically, whether it's Congress or the Board of Supervisors or Town Council, they listen, and we listen to comments without further comment, because you can get bogged down, and we're not a debating society.
Yeah.
You know, we respect your opinion, and who knows? It's certainly conceivable that there will be a change. I'm not saying that there will be. There's no reason for me to say that, but you've entered the conversation. Many people have. The board has listened. It's all been recorded.
Yeah. Oh, I know it has, but I mean, I've been here since 2:00 too. So, and I know you were here before, but I'm using my time. There are things that I'm not able to do because I'm here as well. So I respect your time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member comments.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, a couple things I'd like to bring attention to. I know there's a couple months ago, there's an individual that I think it was brought up that I had pointed out that maybe we should have our administration take a look and find out, because of the assessment setting, should we do this every 2 years? I didn't suggest it. I said, should we look at that? So this administration did look at it, and it's not $500,000 every 2 years that we're doing it. It's half that cost. Unfortunately, the individual that said this has just left the room. But what I wanted to make sure of is that we understand that we looked at those, and it looks like the cost, if we did this every 2 years to assess it. Now, I'm not saying that we should do that. I'm just saying we should look into that. And it's about half that cost. So
when you say cost, you mean
the assessment to
What it costs to have the company
you
do
mean
it.
to do
direct
the
cost,
assessment, right?
not on a net basis, because we receive the revenues sooner, so we have use of the money sooner. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's where I just wanted to take a look at those things and just come back and say, okay, these are the things we've kind of looked at. I want to make sure that we're just looking at them. We're not suggesting anything. We just take a look and see if this is a good idea to do or not. So just to let you know, it's not going to be to do an assessment every 2 years, $500,000. It's almost half that cost.
So your request has been satisfied?
No, well, yeah, I just had the administration look at it. I think we're still looking into some things and trying to find out that setting. The next thing I'd like to do is I kind of like to find out from our county standpoint, from Nicole or the team, find out how some of these projects are going. I know that Shoney's is sold, but I know there's a Bojangles that's probably going in there. I'm sorry, not Bojangles, Popeyes that is still in there. But what do we have? I'd like to have an update on some of those projects that are in the area, such as Fish and Pigs. And I'm not saying, Nicole, I'm not putting you on the spot. But it would be nice to know, from the county standpoint, where are we sitting with these? I know that Shoney's has been there for a while. We certainly contend with a lot of individuals that like to park there or stay there or trash there. And that's what we're trying to make exit 150 a little bit better. But also the Fish and Pig, Tizzoni's, those things that are going on at the hotel. those things are new and great things, but I'd love to see, you know, from a public standpoint, how is it, what's happening in the future here? I mean, those are all good things, I think.
Is there, could I share a quick update?
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I mean, I don't go on the project itself, but there's some really exciting coming that I'm super jazzed up about, that staff and communications between her team have been working on. So we have what's called a story map. If you're familiar with the Gateway Crossing overlay, we did this. It's called What's Going On in Boco. So we are really excited to be getting ready to put that up on the website so that citizens, board members, planning commission, anybody can see what's going on in Boco. So stay tuned for that. It'll have information, hopefully updating quarterly or more frequently as staffing and time permits to do that. But you'll be able to zoom in on a map with a dot. It will give you site plans, anything it's something that's been approved, ready to roll. If you all have approved it, people will be able to see those concept plans as we continue to work towards that kind of thing. So hopefully everybody will have access to that information soon. It's been a heavy lift, and I really appreciate Tiffany and her team and my team for working on that.
Thank you, man. That's just answered. That was a perfect segue right there.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, that's right. The other setting is that I still am interested in doing the sidewalk or trying to have a look at the sidewalk. I know we've talked with VDOT about that, about from LB to, you know, the town center and down towards Kroger. We still see a lot of kids that are walking on there. I think that's a dangerous setting. Hopefully at some point in time, we can get some state money or some help for that.
That would probably be taken to the regional commission, I would imagine.
Yes.
And
we're still looking into that.
Yeah. But the need is going to become more appropriate when Robert Phelan's development is complete and more houses at Greenfield. So
good point. Yeah.
Of course, there's also thoughts of extending, and of course, we appointed Mandy to the Greenfield Commission, but the Greenway, if we can extend it into Greenfield here from where it terminates now around Orchard Lake, that would be sort of a solution to that too. But you're right, but that goes to the traffic safety issue that we talked about, pedestrian issue. Anything else, Dr. Scotland?
I think that's it. I'm sorry.
That's good.
Good comments. Thank you. Other board member comments?
Mr. Chairman, there in my district, I have a good many folks that the trail will impact if and when it comes. I would like to know if maybe we could get VDOT to maybe come next month and give us a brief update on where we are and what's going on. I think people really want to be informed about what to expect or not to expect.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, they'll be
That's a
here.
great
so we-
suggestion.
It's in their agenda.
yeah,
That's
that would be
great
great if they would address it. And I want to encourage people not to believe everything you read on social media. Lady from school board made a great little speech there before during their meeting. And I encourage each and every one of you that if you read something that seems a little out of kilter, come to us or come to our staff. We have an excellent staff. And I know that all of us up here will do our best to find you a good answer, a true answer, and hopefully get you to realize or understand what we are looking at and what we're trying to do and that type of thing. So really, I'm open. I don't think there's an email or a phone call that I haven't returned. Some people have acknowledged my returns and some have not, but that's okay. That's certainly up to you. And I appreciate y'all being here. Really do.
Thank you, Mr. Nicely. Okay, that brings our
I have
meeting to
couple
a
things.
conclusion,
I
except
have-
we have one more.
I have a couple things. First of all, I just want to thank our finance folks for all the work that everyone is doing on the budget to follow up on. Brandon, we do have excellent staff. We have been engaging in budget work. We are having meetings. Those meetings, the public ones have been publicized, and we welcome the public to those meetings. This is so complex. And I know a lot of people were expecting something this month and wanted to have it on the agenda and have things resolved. If you're watching Richmond at all, you know that nothing is resolved in Richmond. For me personally, I think it would be premature for us to solidify a budget and a tax rate and all the things that everybody's waiting for before we have some idea of what's going to come from Richmond that really impacts school funding, especially which impacts our decision-making. So we are not ignoring the budget issue. We think about it, probably all of us, and I know you guys do every day, but I just think we need to get as much information together as possible before we can make solid decisions. That's my personal philosophy. We're not ignoring the budget. So I want to put that to rest for a moment. Another thing I wanted to just share as part of my assignment this year, I am on the transportation planning board. Back to John's we'll talk more about transportation for a minute. And I attended those meetings last month. And I just wanted to share, this is not necessarily good news, but I did want to share, there was a speaker there from Drive Smart, and they talked about some current traffic safety trends. I found it shocking that safety belt use is the worst in Virginia and that it is in the whole United States. And our traffic fatalities are increasing rather than decreasing. For example, just in the Commonwealth of Virginia, 2019, there were 827 traffic fatalities. In 2023, there were 907. So we are not doing well with respect to traffic safety. The top 3 reasons for traffic deaths are speeding, DUIs, and driving distracted. So I thought that while not good news, I thought it was shareable news. And I wanted to put that out there so that maybe we can think about things we can do when we're traveling to be safer. Virginia is not doing very well. So with that being said, let's shift to some better news. I wanted to make sure and get on everybody's calendars for some fun activities. I think very wonderful activities that are happening in Buchanan at the fairgrounds this summer. Of course, there's the carnival that everyone has come to expect. Also on July 27th, the farmers market will have the tomato festival. On August 2nd and 3rd, the Botetourt County Agricultural Fair will be held. And on August 17th, the farmers market will be back again with a honey festival. So those are just activities I think are very community centric, very agriculture based. And if you're inclined to enjoy those types of things, I wanted to make everyone aware of when those were happening. So thank you.
Good update. Anything else?
Those will be on our website as well.
Those will be on our website as well. Thank you, Tiffany.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. I'll move for adjournment.
Second.
Moving seconded, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here and participating.